Never-Ending Chain by Dragon Translator. Chapter 98. Is it time? The three dragons returned not long after Padrig escorted Bainson back to the village. Astrid heard Shadowfire ask if they could land outside of the arena's entrance and walk in, because he apparently forgot his size and scraped his wings by leaving flying earlier. Astrid saw Moondust roll her eyes and bit back her own snort. Upon seeing the changelings, Hiccup dismounted toothless before them. Hiccup rushed right past her. Sneaky and Sharpshot dove off Astrid's shoulders. Hiccup gently gripped Astrid's upper arms. "Are you okay?" he asked, eyes roaming as if to see if there were any obvious injuries. Again, Astrid was reminded that some in her family would believe she would jerk from his hold because of this. Astrid merely smiled and cupped Hiccup's cheek. "I'm unhurt," she said. "Bainson paid the Academy a visit not long before you all returned." Hiccup frowned. Astrid placed a finger upon his lips as he opened them to speak. "The dragons kept me safe, and Padrick took Bainson back to the village after smacking him a bit and telling him to leave you and I alone, or he'd drop Bainson into the sea." Astrid felt a measure of peace ease some of her concerns, even as she heard Hiccup's voice deepen. Hiccup pulled back, his eyes narrowing into slits. "He will not have the chance. I will deal with Bainson if he ever hurt you." Astrid felt a measure of peace ease some of her concerns, even as she heard Hiccup's voice deepen, and she knew it was because his soul's power was coating his words. She was also honest enough to admit she liked the sound, and briefly wondered what a grown-up Hiccup would sound like, especially if he was angered over something. The head guard shifted, and Astrid remembered the dragon had done something to Bainson. She looked at the changeling. "What did he do to Bainson?" she asked. "He looked dazed and confused before those other two dragged him out of here. My kind are able to mesmerize our foes with our eyes. I know the young alpha wished no bloodshed among the members of the nest, so I mesmerized the human hatchling." "Thank you," Hiccup said, and Astrid heard the relief in his voice. "Hiccup," Fishlegs said, and Astrid glanced over Hiccup's left shoulder so she could see the teen. "We'll head into the village," Fishlegs continued. "That way you and Toothless can take Astrid flying." Hiccup released Astrid's arms and turned. Astrid saw him nod and then watched the friends leave, though Torgeir looked reluctant and glanced back often. Fishlegs gently pushed the soon-to-be 11-year-old, since his name day was the day after Snuggletog, out of the arena. Gyda and Shadowfire remained, and Astrid knew why. She also did not mind the mage and her son's presence. She and Gyda had formed a strong friendship while the mage stayed in the Hofferson's home, and while she would rather the others not see the more tender moments between her and Hiccup, she knew Gyda would not tease or tell the others about those moments. Astrid cupped Hiccup's cheek again, pulling his attention back to her. He frowned, but she buried into him and placed her head upon his shoulder. He immediately enclosed her in his arms. "Astrid?" he asked in a whisper. "I'm unhurt," she replied, also whispering. She did not mind Gyda being there, but she still did not want everyone to hear what she and Hiccup talked about. That was another reason she liked Gyda taking the role of their human chaperone. The mage would stay in sight of them, but let them talk about whatever they wanted. If she did happen to overhear, Gyda would never repeat the words they said to any in the tribe. "I'm mad about something else," Astrid added, still whispering. "What?" "Padrick told me he saw Old Man Jorgensen and two of his friends glaring at my family during Bearspit's trial." Hiccup's hand began a soothing rub of her back, and Astrid tightened her grip, pulling him closer. "The day Dad put your father on the council, that man stormed into the hut demanding an explanation," Hiccup whispered. "You should have seen my dad's face. I think he would have let Toothless bite him and drag the man out of the hut and off the cliff right then." "The Jorgensens' clan still holds a lot of influence. I doubt they would like that, even if it was your dad," Hiccup chuckled darkly. They had influence before the war ended, when huts were always needing to be repaired. Their own practice of being terrible to those they did not like, or those they thought should be put in their place, came back to bite them all, especially Old Man Jorgensen. His belief that his clan's influence meant he could dictate what he wanted to my father to do also backfired. The tribe is turning to Finton for repairs, and realising he's not only trustworthy, but a great builder as well, and Dad doesn't have to pacify that man so people can have homes. Not anymore.
So, I was right. Snot's grandfather hates my family because we rose in influence.
Well, you are a dragon rider, and was present at the Red Death battle. You are my second in command in this academy. You are now promised to me, and will be my wife one day. The Flightmares cleared the honour taint upon your family. Finton's taking over much of that clan's business. Yeah, I can see why he'd be mad.
Astrid lightly smacked Hiccup's back. You have a smart mouth sometimes, she muttered.
You love me anyways,
Hiccup replied. Astrid hummed and placed a gentle kiss to his neck. She did love him. Something she could never see herself doing before the war ended. Love and a life with a husband did not factor into Astrid's goals, when all she wanted to do was restore her family's honour and keep the tribe safe. Hiccup grunted, then moaned softly. She felt him nuzzle into her hair before his lips fell upon her ear.
I'll tell my dad what Patrick told you. We'll make sure Old Man Jorgensen leaves your family alone. I promise you that, my queen.
Thank you, Hiccup. Hiccup was quiet for a few heartbeats, and then whispered another question.
Did Patrick tell you why he told you all of this now? Bear's Pit's trial's been over and done with for a while now.
He didn't say why he waited until now. He did say that he was telling me, because he didn't want you to turn the dragons upon his tribe.
Hiccup choked, lifting his head. I highly doubt the dragons would obey, even if I did give that order.
Actually, Toothless said, we would. You are Alpha, Moondust added. Who you love and protect, we love and protect, Sneaky said. And those you hate and fight against, we hate and fight against, Sharpshot stated. Hiccup stepped away from Astrid and spun to face the dragons.
You are not my slaves. You don't have to do that. You can all think for yourselves.
Toothless glanced at the other dragons and snorted. Shadowfire, on the side of the academy near the pen Hookfang stayed in during dragon training, looked over and chortled. And he still wonders why we call him Alpha, the bigger dragon said. Ow, Mum, that hurt. Next time my son will remember how big he is and walk out of an enclosure instead of flying out, Gita said as she spread something over Shadowfire's wing. Shadowfire snorted. Gita lifted her head, and Astrid saw Shadowfire's horns fall. Yes, Mama. Astrid giggled softly, but noted Hiccup was not smiling. She placed a hand upon his shoulder and spun him around to face her. Hiccup, I love that you still feel unsure about the dragons naming you their Alpha. I love that humble spirit you have. It makes you a great leader. But you have got to stop thinking the dragons following you is akin to slavery.
They just said they like who I like and hate who I hate, Hiccup protested. That's not thinking for themselves. Astrid, I've seen slaves. One of the things Dad did bring me to, that chief gave Dervla to Dad was there. He had her, and many other slaves. They couldn't think for themselves. They had to say whatever their master told them to say, or they were beaten. I watched them beat those people. Hiccup took a deep breath, and a pained expression crossed his face. That chief, he didn't think I was Dad's heir. He almost had me in shackles, Astrid. He was going to mark me as a slave. He was going to beat me until I obeyed him. He said my only thoughts would be what he wanted me to think. My words would be what he wanted me to say. All because I told him I didn't like that he hit Dervla when he asked me why I was frowning.
Astrid lifted her hand off of Hiccup's shoulder so both could clench into fists. Something white hot rushed through her and she heard growling beyond what the dragons were doing. Growling that seemed to come from within her. Faint, but there.
It's okay, guys. Dad stopped him and demanded satisfaction. It's how we got to free Dervla. The man thought Dad wanted her as a thrall, though. It wasn't until he dropped her off at the docks, and Dad told him that if he ever came near Burke again, then Dad would flay the man's skin off his bones. War or no war with the man's tribe. The man's never been back since.
Astrid yanked him into her arms even as her body trembled. With fear or anger or both, she did not know. She did know that was another time she almost lost him without ever really knowing him. Never again. She would never again take his presence in her life for granted. He would know she loved him. He would know she supported him. He would know that she thought him the greatest Viking in the world. She vowed that. Right now, she would explain something to him. Hiccup, the dragon's following your lead on who to trust and who not to trust isn't slavery.
She was right, brother, Toothless said. For 300 years, all humans were bad and murderers. Now we know that was wrong. But those same 300 years are hard to overcome. We take our cues from you, brother, to do exactly as Sister says. You teach us about humans, as much as you teach the humans about us. We do think for ourselves, though. And speak for ourselves. I am perfectly capable of doing both, just so you know.
Someone's modest,
Moondust muttered. Toothless's voice trailed off.
Astrid lifted her head to see Moondust was staring at the Night Fury, with one eye half closed and the other wide open, giving the female the look of lifting one eyebrow. Astrid shifted her face into Hiccup's shoulder to muffle her giggles. She felt Hiccup bury into her neck and felt his frame shake as she heard muffled chuckling.
Shall we take Sister flying now, brother? Toothless asked.
Hiccup lifted his head, no longer chuckling, but Astrid caught a smirk.
Ready? He asked her. You can operate the Telfin.
Astrid smiled, knowing he was saying that so that he could hold her and help with the resistance the bond she had with Stormfly was causing at the thought of riding Toothless.
That will have to wait,
Shadowfire said, head lifted so that he could see over the chain dome.
Stormfly's flying over to the harbour waters right now. She's veering. She's heading this way.
No sooner had he finished that than Stormfly landed outside the arena and rushed in. Hiccup released Astrid. She sent him a smile and then ran to hug her dragon. For many heartbeats, she just held Stormfly's head. Neither she nor the dragon spoke, but Astrid felt something inside her that was gone fall back into place. She heard purring and realised it was both from her and from Stormfly.
Is it time?
Hiccup asked when Stormfly finally lifted her head and looked at him. Yes, my Alpha. Sorry I did not greet you first.
No worries. Astrid is your sister and rider. I understand. Hiccup smiled at them. I'll go tell your parents, Astrid, and get your things. Then I'll let Dad know and get mine.
Alpha, Stormfly said, I know you must bring a human chaperone. May it just be Elder Gita? The other dragons are unsure about 2 humans coming to the hatchling nest, let alone all the others.
Can Shadowfire come with his mother?
Yes.
Hiccup nodded. We'll go, and you two can catch up.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I like this. I just do. I like how they trust Gita. I like that they're open with each other. I like that they're just holding each other. And that chief better watch himself. There are a number of atrocities I cannot stand in the world. Slavery is very high on that list. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, girls and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.